Hey everybody, I'm Anthony. Some of you might know me and others might not. I really struggled with how to present myself for this video, but I decided I'm just going to wing it. It's going to be like one take, glitches and all, and let the chips fall where they may. If you know me, you know that that means what you see is what you get. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't do any of that crap. Um, If you don't know me, here it comes. Get ready. All right. What do I do? I read tarot. I'm going to talk to you about tarot, cancer, and Halloween all at the same time. And you're going to see by the end of this how they all are connected. I first encountered the tarot when I was 10 years old at the Pierpont Morgan Library and Museum. There were cards from the Visconti Sforza deck, an original deck, one of the only original decks left. They were made in the mid 1500s, and I was fascinated by the paint, the colors, how vibrant the colors still were after hundreds of years. And I just, oh my God, I was glued to them and I just drank them in. And I remember staring at one, the Temperance card, which was actually a very subtle message to a very impatient 10-year-old. And I just committed as much as I could to memory. And I went home and I started sketching it and then painting it. And there were things I forgot. So I'd go back down with a little sketch and then fill in what I didn't remember. And eventually I had this beautiful rendering of it that I put up on my bedroom wall. And I was so fascinated by the idea of tarot, by the mysticism, because let's face it, I was 10, it was 1962. I believed in all that stuff back then. So I bought a deck of tarot cards. I bought the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which I think everybody said was their first deck. And I started learning how to read it. I was using a little guidebook that came with it at first, and it sort of made sense. And then I went to the library and I found some books on tarot symbolism and numerology, and I copied all the information from there. And pretty soon I was able to read cards. But something happened. After a few months, I would look at a card and it would mean something different than the little book said. A good example would be Queen of Swords. In the Little Rider-Waite guidebook, it said the Queen of Swords is a domineering middle-aged woman with dark hair. And I thought, well, that's some bullshit. Because what if she's blonde? And then every time I'd look at a card, I would get a different impression. So I just figured, you know what? Put the book in the drawer. Just start reading. I would read from my friends, going by the impressions that I was getting from the pictures and the numerology. And my readings seemed to become a little bit more accurate for them. So by the time I was 15, I was reading like a pro. And then I started staying in Central Park on the way home from school. I came from a really, no other way to say it. I came from an abusive home, and the less time I spent there, the better. So between school and dinner, I was in Central Park. I was a fixture by the Delacorte Theater with my little tarot card sitting on a bench. And one day, someone came up to me and they said, "Are you doing readings?" And I looked at them like they were crazy. It's like, you see me here with cards and a pattern on the bench. What do you think? Can you give me a reading? I said, "Yeah, sure. Okay, sit down." So I did. And I read for them. It took about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. And they seemed satisfied. And then the next thing I know, they handed me a $10 bill and walked away. And then another person walked up to me and says, "Are you doing readings?" And it's like, "What? Yeah, I just saw that guy pay you. Are you doing readings?" And I said, "Yes, sit down. What do you charge?" It's like, you know what? Why don't you pay me what you think it's worth after I'm finished? I'm just starting out. So, and then they gave me $10. And then some people gave me more, some people gave me less. And then suddenly they wanted my phone number, and I really didn't want to do that. So I found a job reading tarot. There was a very cool place right off Lexington Avenue in the 30s. It was called either the Gypsy Tea Kettle or the Gypsy Teacup or something like that. It was run like a brothel. I couldn't give my information to any of the clients. I'd be seated at a table for my shift. And they would throw me client after client after client after client after client with no break. It was a very popular place. It was sort of the in thing to do back then. And I got used to reading in volume. And then I left. It was time for me to go to college, and I paid my way through college and grad school, sitting as a medium and reading tarot. And I still have some of those clients. So tarot tells you what's most likely to occur if things continue exactly as they are, which means nothing is written in stone. And if somebody reads you and says, "Oh, this is going to happen no matter what," and worse, if they try to tell you that there's a curse on you and they want $2,500 to take it off, like somebody tried with me and I almost punched our lights out, they're lying. Don't even ask for your money back. Just pay them. Sometimes you got to pay the wrong people to go away. Chalk it up to experience. But if everything is going to turn out in a certain way, if nothing changes, you have the ability to change. If you don't like your outcome, change the way you're going about it. And if you can't change it, if it's too late, you know it's coming, take it on the chin, and then redo it or do better next time. But do not ever think that anything is written in stone. A lot of people want to know, what is it like for me as a reader? What is my process? Well, my process is very simple. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to bring you information. So, what I do when I go into a reading, I go into a space to my upper right. And it's like the same space I go into when I'm in meditation or in prayer. And at some point, I'll feel a tingling down the entire right side of my body. So I know I've connected with an accurate source. I've already set an intention. When I teach people how to read tarot, setting an intention is the hardest part because they want it to be the same one all the time. And the parameters are going to be the same. I basically say I want to get the most valuable and helpful information for this person and present it in a way that is not going to flip them out or immobilize them or traumatize them, which means that I have to give up my entire ego. I'm stuck between the source of the information and the client. So my job is to repeat and report because I hear and I see when I read. But I need to repeat it without giving any thought. If I'm hearing certain words and if they're words I don't use, I don't get to edit. I just have to repeat it because that source up there knows how you need to hear this information in a way that you're going to be able to work with it. Um, so pretty much it comes into my head and out of my mouth. Um, and that's what happens to me. There's just enough of me here to be coherent. And that's pretty much my job. And at the end, you have your information. And I have the satisfaction of knowing that I served you well. Um, which brings me to topic two, my cancer diagnosis. In July, I was diagnosed with stage three cancer. I was not happy about it. I thought, what? I'm 73. I don't have a single significant person in my life because I had a partner of 30 years and he died 5 years ago, but he had progressive dementia the last several years of his life. So I lost touch with everybody. By time he died, I was completely on my own. I'll call my old friends and they were still friendly, but they've all moved on and I had to take care of him. And I have no resentment. I would do it all over again. It wasn't happening to him, it was happening to us. But I don't want to go into that now. I got a cancer diagnosis and I thought, ha, I'm gonna have a little chat with God. And it started like, yo, God, what the fuck, man? What are you doing? I don't recommend you take that tone if you're ever gonna have a conversation with a higher power. And I got nothing. I heard nothing. I saw nothing. I got no answers. And I thought, well, why don't I bring myself to that space that I go to when I'm reading? So I brought my energy up. I regulated my breathing. And then all of a sudden, I started getting answers. At first, I thought it was a load of bullshit. But then I had a visionary or clairvoyant experience of my early childhood. where I was convinced by family members, teachers, other authority figures that I just wasn't worth caring about. I wasn't worth loving. I later found out that I am. I know my worth, but those scars, they're scars. They never leave. They're always there. But the message I got was, we want to see if you can show the same compassion and care for yourself as you do for others. And I thought, well, that's nice and trite. But the pictures of my childhood kept coming and a lot of the memories. And I realized that I take care of myself last. So now I have to really show myself the same amount of care and support that I would show anybody else who was diagnosed with cancer. So I went through it. I went through treatment the way I used to race my car. Put the pedal to the metal and you don't stop till the flag comes down. And now I'm 5 weeks post-treatment. My mind and my spirit have already crossed the finish line, but we're waiting for my body to catch up. And it's slower than the mind and the spirit. Physical healing takes longer than emotional healing. Emotional healing can happen with a concept in a split second. The body, this meat puppet that I'm stuck in, it has to heal and it takes time because radiation, it's quite an assault. But it's also given me time to ponder and to meet myself, to see who I've become. And my style of reading has changed because of it. But it is like a death and a rebirth. You can never go back to the innocent person you were prior to the trauma. You have so much more knowledge that you change irrevocably. And I'm seeing how I change in the way my readings are manifesting and the information that's coming into my ear, into my third eye, and the way the words that I use to share the information with my clients. And so it is a celebration of life and death, of the dying of the old self and the birth of the new self, which is exactly what Halloween is. Halloween in Celtic culture was the new year. It was the final harvest. The first two harvests, August 1st, you harvested flowers, leaves, herbs, everything that grew above the soil. And then you dried them out, put aside what you wanted, share the rest with your neighbors at a big festival in town. Second harvest, it was nuts, gourds, root vegetables, legumes, anything that was laying upon or beneath the soil was harvested. And the same thing, you took enough for your family and you brought the excess into town for the big celebration and bonfire. And, if you grew barley and your neighbor grew beets, you would need beets, they would need barley. Nobody was greedy. We just took a little bit. And that's how that went. The third harvest, the final harvest, was called Samhain, spelled Samhain. And in Gaelic language, the MH is like an ow sound, like the OW in cow. So it's Samhain. Um, it was the harvest of souls. And besides growing plants and crops, our ancestors also raised animals. They raised livestock for food consumption. Now we're going to pay no attention to the social commentary about consuming animal protein because I don't want to get into that fight. I still do, but I let my body tell me when I need it, and it's not that often, but it's often enough. But you would separate your breeding stock from the rest of the herd, and then you would ritually and humanely slaughter the remainder of the herd so that you would have meat in your smokehouse, or however you preserved it to get you and your family through the winter, and then you would bring the rest into town and share it with your neighbors, and there was a bonfire. And you also released the spirit or soul of loved ones who might have passed on in the year prior. And people would have little jars, and you'd think, oh, this is grandma's soul. Boom, break it over the fire, set her free. And she'd be able to go to the summer land and live in peace and harmony and fabulousness. And then when the fire was only ashes, everybody would bring their breeding stock and make them run through the ashes to bless them with the ability to regenerate, to reproduce. And that's why Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, not because of all the spooky stuff, although I do love that. It's because it's an opportunity to be reborn. So how can we use it? If you lost a family member, invite the family over for dinner tonight or any night in the near future. I mean, tomorrow there's All Saints Day and All Souls Day and Catholic religion coming up. There's Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, and a lot of the Latin traditions. But this time of year, we remember those have passed. Have a meal. Make it their favorite meal if you really want to get cute about it. And everybody, while you're eating together, recall the joyous memories, the fun times, the best qualities of that person, what you loved most about them, not what you miss. Our loved ones don't want us to cry for them. They want us to live for them. So do that. And we can also transition things that are obstacles in our life. Write them on a piece of paper and throw them into the fireplace or burn them with a candle and put them in a little dish to finish. Get rid of the things that are in your way. Make this a true ceremony of the death of what stands between us and success and the new life that you will experience when you finally rid yourself of these things. So with that, that's the end of this little video that turned out to be much longer than I had hoped. But I would like to hear from you. If you found this interesting, please like and or subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to get a hold of me for a reading, go to anthonycentral.com. I'm building a new website right now, but the old one is still up and running, and you can reach me through there. And I hope to see you soon. I hope this brought you some useful information, and maybe now you can see how tarot, cancer, and Halloween are all related. But better yet, you got an idea how I work. I'm the same when I'm reading as I am right now. So I do hope to hear from you. Please come to anthonycentral.com, stay in touch, and you have a happy, happy, happy Halloween.